What is up, everybody? So today I wanted to make a video, talk about how leadership and prioritization. In order to be a good leader, you must be able to prioritize. Now, you probably think I'm just going to go in the route of business, but I'm going to take a left-hand turn today, and I'm going to talk about the importance of making sure we do that in our personal lives too. See, we cannot discount the idea that our personal and our professional lives, we talk about balance all the time and separating the two. And we want to try to do that as much as we can in many degrees. And we can talk about that. But we cannot fully, as human beings, separate home from work. What happens at home oftentimes affects work. And what happens at work sometimes affects home. We talk about coming home and kicking the dog, which I do not do, but as a statement, right? So as much as we try to separate these things, that we can't. And while we spend how much of our time on resources and educating about what is a rock, for example, and we got to put the rocks in first before we put everything else in, or else the daily whirlwind is going to take over our day, and we're not going to be able to progress ourselves to where we want professionally. So we spend a lot of time, resources, books, energy, and money on learning about these things and trying to master that. But all too often we kind of forget about that same prioritization in the home life, right? Into the people and the relationships around us. And if we get too caught up, too focused on the long term, like I'm not going to worry about crap today, I'm going to give up my pain of today, for the benefits of the future. It's easy for us sometimes to get locked in on that and not bring the people that are around us into that same vision, into that same journey, and kind of wall them off and leave them assuming, kind of taking them for granted with the idea that, well, of course they're always going to be there, or they'll be there for me when we get there, or when I get there, or whatever that is. And, first of all, you're going to miss out on so many of the joys of smelling the flowers of today and the experiences of today, right? Which is what life really should all be about, number one. And then number two, when you get there, are you going to have destroyed a relationship or have a separate relationship than what you could have instead of developing that relationship along the way? Or worst of all, they could not be there for a number of different reasons, whether that's, we lose people, people die, people pass, or relationships get fractured beyond repair. So, going negative there for a second, just to kind of paint the picture of the importance of this prioritization, right? And not taking people for granted. And let me tell you that a little goes a long way. So I took the last couple of days with my wife, and we went on a couples retreat with Gary Harper and Sharper, and just were really able to kind of spend this time, energy, and focus into ourselves and kind of just reflecting, and reflecting on life. And I think that's so important for us to do. You don't necessarily have to go away to a retreat, but just the power of the little things. I look back to periods in our life when our finances were tight, and there wasn't excess, right? And I remember saying back in those days, like, man, just a little would go a long way. Like when you're scraping ends together and you worried about whether you're going to be able to pay a bill or buy milk, having an extra $50 means a whole lot compared to like not knowing whether I'm even going to have the money. And the same thing goes to our time with other people and our relationships with other people. Sometimes they can get worn so thin that just a little bit goes a really long way. And if you're an efficiency person like I am, we talk about this with the results in business. Like, what can I do to shorten the amount of time but still get the same amount of results? So if you want to get into efficiency and this mindset of a little will go a long way, first you want to make sure that you're putting the action items into what really matters. So I recommend, Gary Chapman wrote a book, The 5 Love Languages. It's a great book to go through. But if you go to 5lovelanguages.com, I think it is, they have free assessment tools in through there. And I think it's a really great thing to do. I've done it with my kids, and where you really learn what the love language is of the person that you're looking at. So right now we're talking about spouses, right? And so if you look at the 5 love languages of your spouse, what is the most meaningful to them? You could spend hours trying to talk to them in a language that they don't understand or that they don't receive the same way. But if you could highlight down to, so to go through the 5 love languages, it's quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts, right? So, for example, if your person's love language is not receiving gifts and it's quality time, and you spend zero time with them but millions of dollars buying them just crap, like they're not going to receive that love in the same way as if you were just to take 5 minutes, a little bit of something, 5 minutes, 30 minutes to sit down with them and spend some of that quality time with them. So I think honing in on what each other's love languages is a really fun exercise to kind of do. But more importantly, it can allow you to connect efficiently. And so whether it's through that or anything else, just not forgetting the idea of we spend all this time and energy prioritizing our business, prioritizing the future, but not to forget about that prioritization of the people that matter the most to us, that we probably take the most for granted. So that was what's been kind of on my mind and my heart over the last couple of days, and just want to share that out there for anybody who might resonate with it. So hopefully this resonates with somebody out there. Let me know. As always, Zachary Betters wishing you a great day and an even better tomorrow.